This video is sponsored by Established Titles.
Uncle Ben?
No. My name's Peter too.
Okay, but imagine if Tobey Maguire was MCU Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. I would lose my fucking mind. Alright, so today, this video is going to be a little different. It's going to be kind of an uncommentary, but also an animation video. I just wanted to talk about what I want to happen in Spider-Man No Way Home, and of course, to make it clickbaity, it's what needs to happen in Spider-Man No Way Home. There's been so many rumors going around for this movie, and I just don't know what to believe. But a lot of them seem kind of truthful, and maybe some won't even happen. But I like how they sound, and I like the concept of it. So maybe I'll sprinkle in a bit of rumor, in the sequences I'm going to talk about. But it won't just be me talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and what needs to happen in it. There's also GodzillaMendoza, someone I've invited to talk about Spider-Man as well. He has a YouTube channel, GodzillaMendoza. He is not a Spider-Man channel, though he does talk a lot about Spider-Man, and so I think he'd bring a fresh perspective into this video. So we already got the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. A lot of people are saying, this is Matt Murdock. This is Matt Murdock in this sequence. I'm telling you it's not, but I'm very sure Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is gonna appear in the movie. And I would love to see that. Like, Daredevil just shows up as Peter's being interrogated, and he's like, Peter, how the fuck does he sound? Peter Parker, stop talking. Peter Parker, stop. Peter Parker.
2,000 years later.
Peter Parker, stop talking. Peter Parker,
Peter Parker, here to pick up a passport, please.
Peter Parker, stop talking. I'm your attorney. And then Peter's like, oh my god, it's the guy from Marvel Netflix. I remember reading articles about Andrew Garfield and Charlie Cox's friendship, and it's always something I've wanted to see, because, Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man and Charlie Cox was Daredevil, and it might never happen. But now the multiverse exists, so maybe it will happen. Who knows? Now, before we keep going, I just want to make one thing very clear. Stop calling me Mauricio. From now on, call me Lord Mauricio. Oh, you think I'm joking? Read it and weep. Yeah, that's right, I've officially become a lord thanks to Established Titles, today's sponsor. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. Established Titles allows people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so that they can call themselves this, and in return, they plant a tree. Not necessarily in Scotland, by the way, they plant trees across the world. Established Titles' primary goal is to raise funds to support global afforestation efforts, but in a fun way. They support global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. Their title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Dunfermline, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. You get a certificate proving your title as well as a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. You can also technically add Lord in your credit card or plane ticket, etc. It's honestly so sick. So definitely check out Established Titles, become a lord or a lady for fun. You get this cool certificate, you plant a tree, and help make this world a little greener.
I dub thee, Lord Joe Green.
Yes! So just go to establishedtitles.com/browntable with discount code BROWNTABLE10 to get 10% off. That's right, establishedtitles.com/browntable and you use discount code BROWNTABLE10. Thanks so much, Established Titles, for sponsoring today's video, and let's get on to talking about Spider-Man. So, I think it's a well-known fact that I don't really like Spider-Man Far From Home. But that doesn't mean I hate MCU Spider-Man, I really don't. Spider-Man Homecoming is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies ever made. At a time, it was my favorite Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man Homecoming is peak Spider-Man, and one bad movie isn't gonna ruin him for me. But going into No Way Home, I expected a thriller, like a Spider-Man on the run from the cops, and maybe Kraven the Hunter was chasing him, and it has the tone of like that fan-made trailer you saw on YouTube that fooled a lot of people. It fooled me. But sadly, that was not meant to be. We're gonna get another world-ending Spider-Man movie, but it looks cool, and, I didn't want it, but I've accepted it, and now I'm excited for it. One of the main things is that Peter is Spider-Man, and he's known to the world that he's Spider-Man, and I want to spend like maybe 20 to 30 minutes of him just dealing with it. I don't want any action, no heavy action sequences. Like, I think the movie's gonna start immediately after Far From Home ended.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker.
And it's gonna end in that sequence where Peter and MJ are on the bridge on the top, I think, from the trailer. After that, I just want no action sequences. I just want to see Peter struggling with this. I remember Spider-Man 2, right? And that movie's first 30 minutes have us follow Peter just living his life in New York. A very shitty life, might I add. And it just makes the character so much more complex. He has layers. A lot of Spider-Man 2 is a character study, and I want that for this movie. And in No Way Home, it seems like it's Peter's fault that the entire plot is happening, with villains out to get him from different dimensions, and it makes me think, will they finally reach the classic moral dilemma for Spider-Man? Can I live two different lives happily? Tom's Peter has had struggles, but no struggle has ever shattered his personal life like Mysterio revealing his identity. And I want there to be a scene where Peter's pondering to himself, yeah, I caused this because I thought I could have it all, but I can't. Keeping his identity secret is important. He can't pick and choose what stays fixed and stays broken. Life doesn't work that way. I keep hearing rumors that someone is actually gonna die in this movie, and I kinda hope it happens, as horrible as that sounds.
MJ! No!
But I doubt it's Mary Jane.
Aunt May! No!
And yeah, I don't think they'll kill off Aunt May, that'd be ridiculously dumb.
Ned! No!
Yeah, that sounds about right. See ya, Ned. Not to be mean, but I really do think someone important to Peter should die in this movie. Heck, it could even be Happy. I would actually be cool with Happy dying. Dude kinda ruined Far From Home for me a lot. But who kills this character? I'd say Green Goblin. And I think it'd be cool to see Tom Peter get, like, mad. That's why I actually love the ending to Far From Home. The dude grabs Mysterio's gun and he's like, no, you can't trick me anymore. And I thought that was a banger, dude. That slaps so hard. My ass was slapped in the theater. And I was like, oh my god, these seats are 3D seats. I don't know where I'm going with this joke. I think the best kinds of Spider-Man stories are those that show Peter's desperate side. It really reveals a lot about a character.
You did this! I'll tear you in two!
Do it. Do it. I always knew you had it in you. I just met the wrong one.
Peter, we are who we choose to be.
I really just want a scene where Tom is genuinely faced with a devastating choice. Not really leaving a girl at a dance, not deciding to give someone Tony Stark's glasses and a satellite. I mean, a choice that could fundamentally change him as a character. And I think something like Tom losing it on a villain could provide that. But enough about me, I want to introduce GodzillaMendoza. He has a few ideas for this movie of his own.
I've been afraid to speculate too much on this movie for fear of the Sinister Six themselves being the greatest Ralph Boner ever told, and all of them being elaborate characters Mysterio invented as a way to punk Spider-Man and thus the audience. But I don't think Marvel would pull that gag twice in 1 year. Assuming these guys are the real deal, it would be cool if their character arcs and original deaths from their old movies were preserved by having these guys be villains from worlds where Spider-Man didn't beat them. An unhinged Lizard and Otto Octavius that Peter couldn't reach out to in time, who accomplished their plans for destroying or taking over New York, over their respective Peter Parker's dead body. Which is why all of them have so much confidence now in their ability to team up and destroy Spider-Man all over again. If the majority of them did it alone, imagine how much easier it'd be now. However, this Andrew and this Tobey are the guys we've known and grew up with, from timelines where they managed to overcome all the odds and survive these encounters. They'll use their knowledge of the less sinister side of the Six to weaken their resolve. Maybe Tobey can say something to Otto that'll cause him to question his involvement with the team and put him at odds with Norman like the final arc of the original Ultimate Spider-Man, leading to Osborn killing Octavius to show he's lost all of that humanity and hesitancy. Same with Andrew reaching out to Lizard. You could really do either one. I'd also love for the Six to be split evenly across all three Spider-Men, 2 villains each. We'd have a scene where the 4 multiversal carryovers on the run trying to figure out their next move. Electro, Lizard, Doc Ock, and Green Goblin. When suddenly, a dark cloud pours into the room. Demons and monsters and terrifying images present themselves as Mysterio steps out of the shadows, touting his magical abilities as the equal of Doctor Strange. The rest of the team buys it for a moment, but Electro casually sends a spark through the holographic fog, setting off a chain reaction that disrupts all of Quentin Beck's holograms. Even his costume isn't real. Suddenly, he's a lot less useful to the team, and they bear down on him like zombies about to tear into a 2-bit Walking Dead character. However, he sweet-talks them because Beck offers them something they truly don't have. Resources and connections native to this universe. He can get them new weapons and armor designed to their specifications as he's currently working with the Tinkerer returning from Homecoming, a la Spectacular Spider-Man. So Tinkerer can work with whoever's left from Beck's VFX team as a guy in the chair to manage and organize the Six, making them more functional and deadly. And through that mutual acquaintance, Mysterio can bolster their ranks with the Vulture, who's also been looking for some payback against one Peter Parker or another after the Six springs him from prison. Or maybe he's out all on his own after escaping in that Morbius movie, who knows? And lastly, I'd like a small, quiet moment of introspection where all three Spideys reflect on their mistakes that they've made while sitting together on a New York rooftop at night while searching for the villains they've unleashed. They can all relate on their shared experience with Uncle Ben, but they can also share more personalized blunders. This guy broke a promise to keep a dying man's wish, and it cost him the love of his life, while this Peter let himself become prideful and arrogant, and it caused him to mess with a dark power that almost destroyed who he was. And this young and naive Spider-Man was just simply too careless and trusting with his identity one too many times. It would show how all of them have been what Peter Parker always is. Vulnerable, human, imperfect. What I'd love most of all, however, is if this movie opened the door for audiences to really embrace this multiverse and understand different actors portraying the same character at the same time, leading to one or two more solo ventures with our temporarily unretired Spider-Men. Maybe a Spider-Man 4 here, or an Amazing Spider-Man TV series there, under Sony's banner with no MCU oversight. Just the vision of its respective directors giving these guys some closure on all their loose story threads or unexplored sequel plans. But that may just be wishful thinking.
Thanks so much for hopping in, dude. It was great to have you. I agree 100% everything you said about Tobey and Andrew. I want there to not only be scenes of those two together, but I want the movie to be a satisfying conclusion for Andrew's Spider-Man, as well as an epilogue for Tobey's Spider-Man. I think that would genuinely make this movie absolutely rule. And in general, just having Tobey and Andrew act as mentors for Tom would genuinely be an interesting dynamic. Tom could even take cues from them going forward into his later movies. It'd also be funny if maybe Andrew ran out of web fluid and Tom was like, "Here, let me see if I can put my cartridge in your web shooter." That sounded like a sex joke. Let me see if I can put my cartridge in your web shooter. If you're into Spider-Man and if you're into kinky stuff, that's a line. That's a line. You're welcome. You can use it whenever you want. And anyways, Tobey's just standing around like, you don't shoot these from your wrists? Just cool little things to differentiate Spider-Man. But the main thing that absolutely has to happen is that Peter cannot reveal his identity to the public. Because if he does so, then this movie just fundamentally does not understand Spider-Man at all. If they pull a Civil War where Peter reveals his identity to the public, which leads to one of the worst Spider-Man stories ever written, One More Day, if they pull from that, that's nuts to me. That's nuts to me. I had to go into song because, like, that's how insane this is. Peter has to realize that he cannot live these two lives perfectly and has to make the better choice. Strange has to do the spell again, making the world forget Tom Peter is Spider-Man, and now Peter has no one to confide in that he's a hero. But that's okay, because his loved ones are safe. This also means that no other superhero knows that Peter is Spider-Man, so that means in the future, he'll have to be fending off for himself, just like in the comics. And I think that's where the best Spider-Man stories come from. A man alone with a duty, and he has to figure out how to save the people he loves and defend the city from evil threats. And I think if the movie does follow through on everyone in the world forgetting that Peter is Spider-Man, then I think it'd be cool to have the movie end with Peter going to MJ wanting to tell her that he's Spider-Man, but then doesn't.
Hey, MJ.
Peter, what's up? Can I get you anything?
Actually, I'm here because I've actually been meaning to try the new pumpkin spice flavor. I've never had that one.
All I want is a Spider-Man movie that recognizes that while Peter has a ton of things going for him, there's always sacrifices that have to be made to make sure his friends and his city are safe. I really hope the movie recognizes this, and I hope it's a banger. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and make sure to check out Interstellar Ranger Commence, the animated series I'm making, which will premiere on April 2nd, 2022. Check it out in the link in the description. I would seriously appreciate it. Drifty, thank you so much for editing this, by the way. You can put this anywhere in the video. I'm dying. I have a new job starting up soon, and I have Interstellar Ranger Commence that I have to do, and I have this, and I have to animate it. So thank you for making my life a lot less difficult by editing this video. I love you. Ooh woo. So yeah, thanks so much for watching the video. Become part of the Chad Nation by subscribing and turning on notifications. And hey, thanks so much patrons for supporting me. I really appreciate it, and that's about it. Make sure to please share this video. Thanks so much for coming to the table, and I'll see you all next time.